This one is going to be from the kitchen because it could get a little bit messy. So I didn't want to do it in my office. So let me share my screen and let's talk about this brand new experiment where we are going to make a cloud. In fact, there's several ways to make a cloud, and we're probably going to experiment with 2 or 3 more of them over the course of the world's most exciting classroom. But for this one, we need some boiling water, some ice, some hairspray, a mason jar with a metal lid. That's really, really important to have that metal lid. A plastic lid doesn't work as well. So I boiled the water on my stovetop. You can see a little steam starting to come out from the kettle. And then I very carefully put about a cup of that boiling water into my mason jar. So about a cup. You can see it fogs up the surrounding area inside, a little bit of condensation. And then I decided, you don't have to do this, but I added a little bit of blue food coloring just so we could see the water below a little better. And if you remember our experiment from last week, we saw how quickly the food coloring spreads in the warmer water compared to the cold water. So you still have a week to get your answers in for that experiment, that 2-part experiment, and we'll see the answers for that next week. Now I sprayed some hairspray in the top, and I very quickly covered the lid as quickly as I could. I got that lid on really, really fast, and then I put some of that ice on top of that metal lid. So now if we look very carefully with our camera, you can see that we have something very similar to a cloud forming. Now it's not steam. We saw a little bit of steam come off when I first put the water in, but this is much heavier. You can see some condensation on the glass. So it's a little hard to see with the camera. I tried to zoom in as close as I could, but that steam, that water vapor is moving around inside of the jar. So this is an experiment where after you do it once, you put in a little bit of the hairspray, you can quickly take the lid off again. Oh, you can see a little bit of the movement there. You can see our clouds swirling around inside of that mason jar. Now you can take the lid off and add a little bit more hairspray because eventually the cloud, after about a minute, will start to dissipate. It'll start to fade away. So I added a little bit more so we could get a little bit of a boost to our experiment. And then I let the lid off to show you our cloud kind of drift away into the air of my kitchen. So let's watch this last little part here. We put in a little bit more of that hairspray. Sealed it off with a little bit of ice. And then we're going to watch our cloud drift away in just a moment here. So your task is to replicate this. Maybe you're going to try it in the classroom or in the kitchen at school, or maybe you'll try it in your kitchen at home. We want some pictures of you trying this experiment. And we also want you thinking about what happened. Why did the addition of the hairspray lead to this quick formation of our cloud? Here it is drifting away out of our mason jar. So why do these conditions create this really, really cool cloud inside of our mason jar? And as I mentioned, we're going to experiment a couple different ways of making clouds in a jar. So we'll have those in future experiments with the world's most exciting classroom. So there we go. You have 2 weeks to send in your pictures to classroom@darwin200.com. We want to see your clouds. We want to see how it turned out. And then we want to know why it happened. Why did changing those temperatures? Why did the addition of that hairspray create those conditions for our cloud in a jar? So classroom@darwin200.com.